Definitely.
The Packers in prime time 5 times, despite the unsettled Aaron Rodgers situation. And you know what? It ended up being a smart move. You know why, Chris?
Why?
They got Blake Bortles on the team now, your second favorite quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, that's right, baby. All their troubles are answered. It really doesn't matter if Rodgers comes back now. It really doesn't. They don't really need him. He's expendable. Bortles is there. It's all said and done. So, hey, I mean, in all seriousness, they needed a guy, I mean, as we know, for OTAs and things like that. That's what they're worried about. They need an arm, a guy that's like a little bit of a professional. Jordan Love's raw, young. They need somebody that can run practice and do those type of things. So Bortles has a little history with Nathaniel Hackett, the offensive coordinator there, and that's why that's done. Yes, I got a little chuckle and giggle out of that yesterday too.
I'd love to see the first text message Aaron Rodgers sent after hearing that Blake Bortles had signed. I mean, if this guy calls Brian Gutekunst Jerry Krause, what the hell does he call Blake Bortles? Maybe he calls him Blake Bortles. But they need the arm. They need the body.
They do.
This is in anticipation of the upcoming OTAs, and they only had 2 quarterbacks on the roster anyway. They need more than Blake Bortles. They're going to need to add at least one other guy to get through all the reps of the 90-man roster in training camp and OTAs, and they may need to add a second one. If Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be there, this is not the end. This is the beginning of the quarterbacks the Green Bay Packers may be adding, but everything the Packers do at this point from a quarterback standpoint will generate news. More news yesterday from John Kuhn, who last week was on CBS Sports Radio explaining that he believes the Aaron Rodgers situation is fixable. James Jones, former teammate of Rodgers as well, was on NFL Network explaining that the situation is fixable. My interpretation of it, very simple. These guys talk to Rodgers, and unless they are talking publicly about the things they've talked to Rodgers about with his express or implied permission, he risks joining me on the Aaron Rodgers it list, which is almost
I like that.
the word.
The it list.
So Kuhn was back talking yesterday. He was on NFL Network and reiterating his belief that the situation is fixable and pointing out one of the things we said. Doesn't matter how much you're paying him under a new contract. It's the structure. It's the guarantee. It's the knowledge that you're going to be there. That's the key. You can pay him $50 million a year. If you only have him for 1 year, if you still have that structure where you can say after 1 year, see you later, we're trading you, problem isn't solved. Problem's only solved if the Packers have no practical ability to cut him, trade him, or cut him. They can't do it. And Kuhn, bottom line, we're friends. We talk. We played 10 years together, and I think it's fixable. And there's no way in hell he is doing that without Aaron Rodgers wanting him to do it. He may not realize that Aaron Rodgers wants him to do it, but Aaron Rodgers clearly, and this is one of the byproducts of being so smart, you're viewed as somebody who is smart enough to know how, if you're not going to speak directly, to get your message out through surrogates.
Sure.
Now, for some reason, Kuhn didn't appreciate that I couched it in a factual manner, which is exactly what it was and what it is. And I think he wants to beat me up, Chris, so I may need your help. I don't know, though. I don't know. 6'5" quarterback versus a fullback. I'm probably putting my money on the fullback. I will remember this, Mike Florio, and I will find you. What the hell? As I said, if I end up dead, search the trunk of Kuhn's car, please. Chris, I may need your help. I may need you and Phil. In fact, Phil's thicker than you. I'd probably rather have Phil watching my back than you when John Kuhn comes looking for me.
Hey, screw you, okay? Screw you. Phil's 65, all right? Screw you. All right? Either way, me or Phil, we don't want any piece of John Kuhn. You're on your own on that one, buddy, okay? You mean the guy who used to smash his face into middle linebackers for a living? No, I'm not messing with that. That's one of those positions where really nobody on a football team messes with the fullback. Everybody knows he's the crazy guy in the locker room. Everybody knows, he's the one guy that if you got in a fight with and you were bashing his face in, he would still be like, so what? Let's keep going. So nobody wants to mess with that guy, and I want no part of John Kuhn. So you're in deep crap, man. I'm telling you, if we see him,
at least there's evidence.
I'm stepping out of the way.
Thank God for social media. There's evidence.
Was that it?
So
no more tweets at each other or anything?
He
That was all he had?
didn't. I don't think he responded to my my
didn't
second
at you.
response, which
Right.
was right. But my second response was, this isn't that complicated. He talks to Rodgers. He talks to the media. If he's saying anything publicly that Aaron Rodgers doesn't want him to say, he's going to hear from Aaron Rodgers or not hear from Aaron Rodgers ever again.
Yeah.
So it really does not take a genius, which qualifies me for this assignment, to understand that Rodgers is using former teammates with whom he speaks, who will then speak to the media to get his message out. And the message is he's laying the foundation to show up and say, hey, everybody, I'm back.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Why are all the TV trucks here?
But he's definitely laying. It looks like he's laying the foundation for that to go. Hey, it's fixable. I can still come back and play football. And like we've talked about a lot, he's got no issues with any players in the locker room or no coaches on the staff. That's gonna make it easier for him to walk back and hold his head high or not feel like he was screwed over in the situation, even though he was. But like Mike, I'm with you 100%. I might let Kuhn beat the crap out of you, but I'll sit there and argue with him that your point was still right. Like, you're right. Whether Rodgers is doing it and, maybe manipulating him, I would think really in my history with these situations and knowing this, that they're just flat out talking. And Kuhn's probably a little bit like, hey, they want to talk to me about your situation here. And he's probably texting or calling Rodgers, telling him that. What do you want me to say? What's the message I should convey? That's, to me, how I would imagine that is kind of going down there. But I'm with you on the read of everything else.
Look at it this way.
Yeah.
Since this was Kuhn's second media appearance in roughly a week,
right?
If he had said anything the first time around on CBS Sports Radio, comments that were picked up and covered by us and others, if he had said anything other than what Aaron Rodgers wanted him to say then, there would not have been a second media appearance. Hey, John, do me a favor. Just I appreciate it. I love you, but just
stay out of it.
It's a delicate time.
Yeah.
And it would probably be better if we just don't do this again. You can do all the media you want. Just I'd prefer that if you're going to say that you've talked to me, just say Aaron has asked me politely to not comment on his situation. It's not hard to do. And the fact that Kuhn was on NFL Network saying what he said yesterday tells me that Aaron Rodgers, fully aware of what he said last week, had no problem with it and wanted him to say it again. Again, look, when you're going to be smart guy, when you're going to be, I got a 35 on the Wonderlic, Brett, what did you get? When you're going to be that guy, you get a level of strategy and sophistication imputed to you, regardless of whether or not it's there. But I'm going to assume that Aaron Rodgers knows exactly what he's doing here because he's a smart guy. Is that fair?
Yeah, I do. I think it's fair with this. I'm not going to push back on that. I do think there's times where we all look a little too deeply into things he says, but this is not, or things that are being said or manipulated. But this is one of those that I don't think that's the case. That yes, I think this has been percolating in his brain for over a year since the day Jordan Love was drafted. So this has been a carefully planned attack. Throughout the season, he was probably thinking about it. And, of course, in the offseason, he probably took some real time to think about it. So I'm with you there, Mike, because I love Aaron Rodgers. But this is one I'm with you all the way.
This situation has been on full boil for most of 2 weeks. Now, it dies down from time to time because there isn't anything to talk about. But 2 days after it broke and hijacked the draft, he's in Churchill Downs, talks to Mike Tirico. Tirico wants to put him on camera. He declines. That's his chance to say, I don't know what any of this is all about, Mike. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't know who's trying to make me look bad. I'm perfectly happy. I'm fine. There's no issue. Instead, Tirico talks to him and says on camera there's a chasm, there's a fissure between the team and Aaron Rodgers. So also, in this day and age, you have the opportunity anytime you want. Get the cell phone device, shoot a video, put it on your Twitter account. I think he's got over 4 million followers. If he wants anything out there directly, he can do it. And he should do it. But it's up to him to decide not to do it. But if you don't do it and you talk to people like John Kuhn and James Jones and they speak after speaking to you,
then
we're going to assume that they're saying what you want them to say.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, John.
Right.
Sorry, John, if you didn't realize that's what your friend was doing, if you're a pawn in his broader game of chess, but that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, agreed. I'm with you all the way. I am. I don't see it any different way. And listen, I don't sit here and blame Rodgers for what he's doing. I really don't. I mean, again, it's a tough situation. We both agree that he's been kind of screwed. Yes, I mean, there's no doubt. And, he's kind of screwed going forward with the lack of, the team committing to him and all of those type of things. So I'm not mad at him for, playing these little political games this way. I'm really not. It's his life, it's his career, it's legacy. It's all being affected in a time where it should not be affected. And also, it's, I just always go back to, yes, this is the bed Green Bay made. And come on, like what? We all knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be the most bitter SOB on the planet when they did that. So how did they not realize that he was going to be like this? So it shouldn't be shocking.
Hey, and one last point before we take a break. As I said last week, Rodgers has every right to be mad at the Packers for what happened with Jordan Love. Every right. Packers fans should be upset with the Packers for what they did last year when they had clear needs that they didn't address by investing a 1 and a 4 in getting Jordan Love. But if I'm a Packers fan and I really take a step back and I look at this objectively, number one, creating an issue that required the brain trust to come see me at least 3 times when they had other things to do, dropping this bomb the first day of the draft and potentially distracting the GM and the rest of the front office as they had far more important work to do over the next 3 days. The idea that Rodgers wants Brian Gutekunst to be fired, unrebutted in any way by Aaron Rodgers. Those are things that I would look at. And then throw on top of it the report that he was telling teammates last year who are due to become free agents, I may not be here next year. Those are things that I would look at as a Packers fan and say you're undermining the greater good. I understand you're upset, but don't undermine the greater good. Don't distract Brian Gutekunst and his staff during the draft. That's his most important 3 days of the year. Don't ask for him to be fired. Don't tell teammates you're not going to be here next year and wonder whether or not they're going to run off in free agency to another team. Don't distract the front office when they have free agency to deal with. So that's my concern if I'm a Packers fan.
Right.
And of course, Packers fans are like, you're just trying to create division. No, I'm trying to point out facts.
Yeah.
I'd be upset.
Right.
And if you choose not to be upset, fine, that's your prerogative. But I'd be upset that this guy has tried to knock my team wobbly at a critical juncture of the offseason, Chris.
I know. Listen, I try to put myself in the Packers fans' shoes a little bit with this situation. The thing I just keep coming back to is like, yeah, you might be upset with some of the things Rodgers has done here recently, but again, the team got wobbly from the team. I mean, it was a self-inflicted uppercut they threw into themselves. So it's like, if I'm a Packers fan, I'm a little annoyed with both sides. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I probably would be. I'm biased here because I like Rodgers too much. I'd be more mad probably at the Packers team there, so I don't know if that's a good, honest answer.
But here's where Rodgers is operating on a higher level than the rest of us, because when he shows up and when he says everything's fine, the media made too much of it, there will be a large segment of the Packers fan base that swallows the hook.
Sure.
And never questions and is just happy he's back and will gladly join him in blaming us for making a big deal about something that was and still is a big deal. He just happens to have decided to show up and make his money and not pay back $11.5 million in signing bonus allocation and another $6.8 million in a roster bonus he's earned and give up $14.7 million in salary.